Talk about the episode briefly and talk about the opening. But the opening was exciting, come on. It was goddamn exciting. So about the actual episode of it. And then after, of course, Demon Slayer. So I was very excited about. I sound so very... No, but it's my throat. I can barely speak, right? I have to... It's challenging to speak, honestly. But... and that sounded so fake with that. I was trying to say it louder. I was like... I was not trying to sarcastic. Here the episode kind of starts, right? So first of all... best girl Pieck, right? Saved with the best girl Gabby. I think it was adorable. Gonna open up an elevator head for her here. And I kind of like something interesting. I said earlier in the rest part 2 here that I found that so many people, for whatever reason, now before the episode starts here, right? The season starts here, since Eren is a great, protagonist / bad guy now, right? But he's so calm and like no emotion and this kind of callous character, right? And I'm just like, have this seen Attack on Titan? I'm not saying Eren's a bad character ever, but I'm just saying that he's not a non-emotional character, right? In this scene here, first he's like, okay, so Gabby and Pieck runs away from him, right? And I like it. He immediately is like, I don't care about them. He lets them leave. Like, you can all get that's good. It's a strategy, okay? Then he sees Rainer, and he's like, oh, Rainer! And he's like, I gotta fight that bastard! And then runs over and fights him, right? And Yolanda is like, no, don't fight him! You gotta hit your brother! And he's like, no! And then runs and fights them, right? So, no, Eren is super emotional as always. Yes, he just ignored these 2 girls. Because he didn't know them, right? So he ignored those 2. But as soon as Rainer comes flying down, you see Eren immediately gets super pissy, yeah. So she's like, ignore him, ignore Rainer, don't go and fight him. And he immediately is like, I wanna fight him, right? So, no. I'm just like, oh god, I'm just, I don't wanna be that guy. But I understand people think that Eren is supposed to be this, unemotional, like, you know what I mean? Like this, super strategist, calm, collected guy. This is, last thing is, right? Eren is super emotional, yeah. So in that scene, he ignores her completely and goes to fight Rainer, right? Of course he is. So always about the emotions. And then go and start fighting and so on. But yeah, it's a great fight episode, I think. We see everyone kind of ganging up together, right? Of course, first Eren owns them, but it's nice seeing them all kind of, teaming against him, right? And here it is. This thing I'm looking for. A great scene here when they're Raider's holding him down, right? Coming from behind to bite him and so on. Yes, that's a great scene. And then, of course, best girl Pieck snipes him afterward. Yeah, so there are like 3. You can't see, of course, Pieck because she's like sniping, right? Pieck is behind him, actually on the wall, straight behind him, right? Yeah, so they're all like preparing to attack together, right? So yeah, Eren has more than one power, but if you 3 people together, right, and you're kind of combining your powers and also strategy, right, you can own him. So yeah, it's a good scene that Eren is owned in. Also, for that matter, right? Kind of shows Eren isn't, the ultimate being yet or whatever. And also, he's not the smartest guy ever. So, even if you have the best power, he's not a very smart guy, right? So, he's own there. But as I keep saying in the reaction part, I think that more people should have this kind of thing, right, in Attack on Titan that Pieck has. Where it's like, super armed. I the only guy I think would be badass if Rainer put him with a sword axe or whatever. It's like it feels this makes a lot of sense, right? Because they're like a military empire using the Titans, right? And they have developed this like super sniper gun for Pieck, which makes sense. But why couldn't they make some melee weapons for the guys? Something like that, yeah. Have them craft a weapon with their something, right? But I do like the Pieck has the speciality of the sniper thing. And then, as I mentioned in the reaction part, I think it's very important this in here actually. This in here I think is very important for the general storyline. And I think it's really good writing here because this makes so much sense too from an actual world building, right? So what happens here is that, so the Marley of course have attacked, right? We know that, let's think so on. The Marley goes down, they're fighting and so on. But what I really like with this in here, right, is the Marleys are just owning them, yeah. The Marley goes in here and they're like bam, 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 right, yeah. And they're just slaying them. They're freaking genocide, right? They're like paradise, all dying, right? They're going genocide them. And this to me is a really good scene. You see how this is what should happen, right? The Paradise, of course, as I mentioned with the rest part 2, but the Paradise people, they're so used to fighting titans, right? First of all. Secondly, they have this javelin spear thing, right? They also got the weird sword, right? But they got the spear thing. You can shoot the spear as well. But how good is that against humans, right? Like, it's kind of having a rocket launcher kind of thing. Certainly you can kill someone with a freaking rocket launcher or a weird spear shooting at them. You can, of course. But a normal rifle is probably better, right? To shoot one person with. It's easier, right? And you can shoot bam, bam, bam and kill people, right? So, suddenly, Paradise, our characters, right, are realizing that shit, we are completely owned by the marleys, right? It's such an interesting premise. They're suddenly getting completely annihilated, right, in an actual war, because, yeah, they can't fight actual humans. They never actually fought in a war, right? And, in they have, of course, a little bit in the whole rebellion arc, right? Earlier, of course, against more humans. A little bit, but come on. That was like a more skirmish, right? 10 people there, get 10 people there, right? With Kenning and so on, yeah. Those are like, just a few people fighting, right? This is actually like thousands of soldiers, paratroopers coming down, right? Like experienced elite soldiers, right? And many of these guys here have probably been in the other wars, right? Because the Marley has had a lot of wars. So, these are probably like veteran paratroopers, right? That has been part of the other Kusan Empire or whatever they had previously, right? So, yeah, these guys are owning the normal soldiers very, very easily, right? And, it completely kills them. but I think it makes, again, perfect sense. Because, yeah, none of the weaponry is really good against humans. Especially not in a longer sense. Then they also use like grenades and so on later, right? And again, these are weapons that are good against humans, but wouldn't be very effective against Titans, right? So, the Paradise soldiers, they don't really have any good weapons against humans. Because they're like, oh, I have this anti-Titan weapon. Yeah, and these guys have anti-human weapons, right? So, big difference there. And otherwise, of course, turning into Titans is not really the best strategy in your own home country anyway. But yeah, I really like the scene where they own them completely. Kind of shows you also how, I guess, naive Para has been, right, with the weird strategy and so on. Of course, you could argue with Eren that he has a much more sinister agenda here in Stieg. That's why he's started this war with them. Certainly. And then we get into this, like, classic Attack on Titan. Let's have a dialogue for 10 minutes for no reason. No, but in the last point, I want to say that thing, right? We get into this scene here, and yeah, I think this is a pretty weak scene, and this is honestly I probably have it Titan generally speaking, right? I think it's a great episode, but this scene I don't like that much, right? Because it's honestly I don't like an episode. Just in the sense that it makes sense they're angry at him. Colin's like, I'm gonna kick your ass and stuff, right? That makes sense, right? For like a minute maybe. But then they spend a lot of time on this scene, and as a reaction part, I just feel it's like, he goes in there and it's like, it's World War III outside, guys, right? Eren is fighting these other Titans, and they're like killing all the Paradise people, are dying from these like Marley Elite troops, and everyone is getting killed, with bam, 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 and grenades and nukes and shit, right? And they're like, who are you actually? Do you know the truth about the Eren? Yeah, suddenly gonna have this like long dialogue with him, and they're gonna interrogate him for like 10 minutes, right? Whatever. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. If it's one of those moments where you're like, you're coming with us, but we have to go outside and see what happens, right? Like, I would immediately be like, okay, talk to me while I am moving, right? I would have been like, okay, explain to me what's happening while we are moving outside to see what's happening, right? I would just stand there and be like, interesting. Should we go outside maybe and try to help our soldiers when everyone dies? It feels like a little bit, I think this scene here to me honestly feels really weird. It feels very weird put into the storyline, how no one seems to have any urgency to go outside and be like, oh, you're telling me that everyone's died outside? Or it's like World War III is happening or whatever, yeah, or at least run away. Or if you don't want to save anyone, I would either go out try to save my friends, right? My country, right? Or you would have been like, oh, I'm leaving, and you would skip out, yeah. Instead, you're like very calmly like, what's happening out there, yeah? What do you think, Mikasa? What should we do? Yeah, if it's a way too, I guess, lack of emotions, right? Something. So yeah, I think it's a very weird scene, honestly. It's just they stand there talking for a long time, right? Okay. And then eventually, and Mikasa, of course, always is like, oh no, I'm still obsessed with Eren or something, right? And as I always say, Eren is right, because she's always like, I gotta go and save Eren or something, even though he hates me, and she's always like, flexing that scarf, right? I love him. Anyway, yeah, something never changed, right? Something like that. But anyways, that's Take Titan. Sorry for my cough. Can't help that, unfortunately. Hopefully it's cured eventually. At least I don't have a fever anymore, so it's better, right? But yeah, so Demon Slayer, guys, coming up soon. I haven't heard the chat, guys, but oh, my chat is weird acting. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's coming to Crunchyroll later today. But yeah, Marley Stormstorm, which I think is really good, right? Because Marley is definitely a much better military power. But yeah, time flies, man. Yeah, I mean, I remember reading in chapter 2, and I said the exact thing was in the chapter when I read the chapter 2, right? That I was like, this makes a lot of sense from a military standpoint. That yeah, they're like actually winning and so on. But and that's a good point too. Yeah, the Jaegerist, the actual I'll say the young people, right? The Flosherist kids, they're definitely the most inexperienced too. But that's kind of the point, right? The Jaegerist with Floshin in the lead, that of course loves the Jaegers and Seeker and Eren. They are young people, right? They're young, inexperienced, naive kids that are like, we're gonna conquer the planet, something. So it makes sense they're also the most inexperienced actual warriors or so on, generally speaking, right? And of course they're really gonna get owned and so on in this war, right? And they certainly are. But yeah, that's a crazy episode. Anyway, guys, see you guys in a few minutes with Demon Slayer, up to an hour now, right? But of course I want to watch Attack on Titan. And next week we have some more Arifurata that's coming back, so yeah, we have some more animes to coming, of course. But anyway, subscribe, so you saw it, guys, with Demon Slayer episode 6, right? I guess, from that season thing. Yeah.